I want to thank you for tuning in again for another session. We are going to continue talking about fear, but today we're going to talk about how to stop living in fear. Like I said, I thank you for tuning in. I thank those for who watched my last previous episodes on fear. If you haven't, it started with camouflage with a faith. Fear is camouflage faith for many, where people say that they live in faith, but really they sitting in fear. They're just sitting, playing it safe in life. And if you aren't willing to take risk or step out on faith, you're never going to achieve the potential that God has for you, or that life has for you, or that the universe has for you, however you think. So long as you know that you got to tap into something greater than you, because if you don't, it's all about you. Okay, so let's get started. I said I wanted to try to make these like 30 minutes long because people have life and life happens, and people, we got to continue lifing. So, like I said, it's about 10 points. Let me look. But we're going to break them up. We're just going to do 30 minutes at a time. That way you can digest the information according to your life. It's not good for you to be overloaded with a lot of information and then you can't digest it. I understand those who have pause button and they, want to get back to it, but as life happens, sometimes we don't get back to it. This kind of forces us to deal with the information that we've been given when we see it the first time, because oftentimes life doesn't allow you to come back around and replay. Okay, like I said, we're going to get started. We were talking about acute fear and chronic fear the last episode. So I want to say the last session. So some people think that chronic fear causes us to experience anxiety, but it doesn't. Chronic fear causes us to live in it. And when you're living in chronic fear, you can't receive pleasure. You can't know pleasure. You're just on this rowboat, this ship that's out of control. It's like raging waters. You just constantly going, you heeling and towing it. And when you're living in chronic fear, thank you, Lord. When you're living in chronic fear, you want to, or you must, you feel like you must do what you have to do. You don't do what you want to do. When you're living in fear, you do what you have to do, which means you're playing it safe. You're not doing or enjoying life the way you want to enjoy it, but you do just what the bare minimum of what you have to do. Trying to build a savings account or a storehouse or whatever, to maybe you can jump out there and do something, unpredictable and enjoy life. It's like jumping into a vacation, saving up all year and then going on a vacation, versus financial freedom would cause one to live life every day as if they were on vacation. So it's living a life of pleasure, living a life of doing what you want to do, basically living a life of purpose. You get up wanting to get up, you get up intentionally. Every morning you get up feeling refreshed versus getting up feeling stressed. I don't want to go to this job. I don't want to deal with these people. I don't want to do all this. You got these all negative thoughts and things in your mouth to where that you don't want to do because you're living in fear. You're not stepping outside and embracing your purpose. Not saying that you ain't gonna have to do some things that you don't want to do in your purpose or in life, but when you are constantly complaining and stressed about what you got to do in life and what you don't want to do in life, and how your life isn't lining up to the way that you want it to line up. You're not doing the things that you thought you would do. You're not living out the dreams that you thought you would have. You're not even living out the goals that you thought you would have. Some of us don't even make goals anymore because we tend to feel like they ain't gonna, become to fruition. We're not gonna get our dreams. We're not gonna be able to play out our dreams, live in our dreams. So we don't even make goals anymore. We don't even set expectations. We don't set standards in our life. So therefore, we never transition into anything. And the thing about that is we sit living in fear. Like I said, that's an oxymoron. You can't sit and live. Faith is walking. It's a walk, it's an action word. You got it. You either living in faith or you're living in fear. They're the opposite, one or the other. So, in order to stop living in fear, and stop having, our life so anxious, and a lot of us, now why I say financial is because a lot of us are dealing with financial difficulties, financial issues. One thing that raises my anxiety is financial. Like I said, I'm a single mom, and I have the one income right now. And when my finances are rocky, it shakes my world. Not because I serve money, but because money I use as a tool to get everything I need and to raise my daughter, who's still at home, who just graduated. So I'm raising her to be on her own. And it's kind of hard to do when you don't have the money to do it. I'm going through some issues right now, some situations right now where my finances are concerned. So I'm living in a little fear, And like I said before, fear is good because it comes to, let you know something. You got to make a choice. You're going to live this way, you're going to live this way. That something's coming up. That something that might not have your best interest at heart. In the industry that I'm in, I've always found myself in this situation where I'm just expected to do, and I'm expected to live a certain way under certain conditions. That's why I love to be an independent contract. My anxiety comes when, when I attach to people, I got to go through something that I normally don't have to go through if I stay unattached. Like I said before, it's one of the reasons why I'm not married. Because I don't want to deal with everybody else's stuff. I'm comfortable in the skin I'm in. I love the way my life goes and flows. I can do what I want to do. I live that life of freedom, per se, because I'm not attached to anybody. And if I'm not attached to anybody, ain't nobody pulling me down. The scripture says, you can't be unequally yoked. And when you're unequally yoked, one is going to pull down and drag the other. So that's where my fear comes in. When my finances get hurt, it always hits my finances to where I have a problem or issue with raising my daughter the way I want to raise her. It does, for the love of money is the root of all evil. So we don't love money. We use money as a tool. When you use it as a tool, you don't love it. When you use a screwdriver to hang a degree or picture frame, you don't love that screwdriver. You just use it as a tool to do what you wanted to do what you needed to do. So we don't love money. But money is a tool. It is very much needed. It is the currency right now that is needed. We're going all up into digital currency. For those who not sitting there learning about it, who not looking into it, you will be left behind, because just because you're not sitting there looking at it, trying to learn the ins and outs about it, don't mean that it ain't gonna change. So that's another set of people that's living in fear. A lot of my seniors, because they don't understand the currency, the digital currency. When stuff pops up, you got to get a mindset to start researching for yourself, Because if you depend on somebody else to tell you the ins and out, you are setting yourself up for failure. You are setting yourself up to be manipulated by others. There are some things I've asked about, and I see that certain people ain't gonna teach me or show me because it might cause problems with them. So when I see that, it's time to go learn myself. The library has always been my best friend. The internet has become my best friend. You can sit and research stuff on the internet and in the libraries for the old school that like to have their hands on a book. I'm still that way when I like to read stuff. Every once in a while I'll carry my Kindle or my Kindle app on my app Gpad. But you got to learn to research. You got to study to show your own self approved. You got to study, because if you're depending on everybody else or depending on somebody else and that person drops the ball and falls short, what are you going to do? I know that sounds selfish. I know it does, but sometimes you have to be a little selfish in order to make sure you get what you want or what's rightfully yours. Because if you leave it in the hands of others, somebody who ain't getting what's rightfully theirs or whatever, you're going to find yourself falling short. And you're going to be mad and bitter and upset at them when the ball was in your court all along. I learned that from a young man not long ago who I've soon lately found that has gone home. I used to always, be at him about being selfish, and that don't sound right and this don't sound right. But as I began to research and learn, put into play what he taught me, it taught me to set boundaries. It taught me to do things so that I know they would be done right. So I stopped living in fear because I took control of my emotions. I took control of my mindset. I took control of my life by researching and studying for myself. Now, that don't mean I stop helping people, because I'm a giver, I'm a helper. But when you sit thinking that somebody gonna come and help you, you just setting yourself up for failure. Sometimes we got to do stuff for ourselves. Like I tell my clients, you got to participate in your own program. If you don't want to participate in your own program, there is nobody else held accountable to do it, participate in it with you or for you. So, in order to stop living in chronic fear, we got to do some things that we haven't done before. We got to research. We got to search some things out. Knowledge is power. It is power. You got to get the knowledge that you need. And then not only, you can't stop there. You can't experience the power until you actually apply that knowledge that you learn. It's got to be applicable. So if you apply that knowledge, that gives you an understanding. So once you have knowledge and an understanding, that's the sum of wisdom. You've learned, you become wise about something. You just keep doing it over and over and over to where you build up a skill set in it, and then it comes naturally to you. So, like I said, today we're going to jump in. Like, I don't want to make them too long. I'm only 15 minutes in. We're going to break these up. The first point is called determine the source of your anxiety. What's causing you the anxiety? What's the source that's causing you, that's attached to why you're living in fear, let's just say? What source? And I got these points off of, what's his name? Tony Robbins. There's a whole list. I was looking for a list, and I got the list from Tony Robbins from a video that, give him credit, kudos. But he's a motivational speaker. But you can listen to some things that, everything that he says, and it can motivate you to do things. But please research and study for yourself, because people can motivate you to do things, but there's no substance oftentimes in motivation. And then when that high is gone, you sitting there left like, how do you get the motivation going again? So there's got to be some substance. So like I said, the first point was determine the source of your anxiety. What's causing your anxiety? I'm gonna use me for an example because I don't want somebody saying I'm pointing at them. My source of anxiety is anything that's attached to my finances. Everything runs peaches, cream, kudos, flows, in my life, my relationships, all of that. But the only area right now that I have that's simmering some fear in my life is my financial situation. Some things financially, that's the source of my anxiety. It means that my living, the fear that I'm living in, my things are so exasperated in my life that my anxiety runs the show sometimes because payday come along, or this deal didn't go through, or multiple sources of income start fizzling out or whatever. um I began to start becoming anxious and living the show because nobody wants to start looking at the pay or quit notices. Nobody wants to see their bank account overdrawn. Nobody wants to see their credit cards maxed out. Nobody wants to see that. So as my finances get to that point, or or starts fizzling out or whatever, and I know these bills and that's coming to be paid or needing to be paid, their due dates are coming up, and there's not enough money to be there, naturally my anxiety is going to rise, and it begins to run the show. So that's at the point where you got to get control of your emotions. You got to get control of, you know, I want to say your finances, your mindset. You got to sit with yourself to see. This is called a mindfulness technique. You got to be in the present, where one of the mindfulness techniques is I'm sitting in this chair, and you just begin to feel your toes and feel your feet, your calves, your legs. You just begin to center yourself so that you don't have an anxiety attack or a panic attack or whatever, if it gets to that level. But you gotta start listing write the vision, make a plan. You gotta list your concerns, make a list, and then you gotta circle what's tangible. The things that could possibly happen, the things that are looking to happen, or the things, the bills that are due that you gotta pay, like lights, or you ain't gonna have no lights or whatever. And then you make a list versus, the intangible things that might happen. I fear I'm gonna be evicted, or stuff like that. You make a list of those, and you want to act on the tangible items to build control. You want to set, like, I want to take my monies and I want to make sure that my tangible items are taken care of. I want to make decisions and moves that would make my tangible items get paid or whatever, or payment arrangement, or make sure they're good. So the source of my anxiety, is always connected to my finances. Sometimes that means the job that you connect to, the place where you get your income from, or maybe it's connected to some network marketing or whatever. Maybe you're spending all your money into these products and all this team building and trying to recruit and everything, and you're not making the money from there. Wherever the source is, you got to determine the source. Look at the source. So as I'm sitting there looking at my tangible items, my tangible concerns, and I'm putting things in place, putting things in order to make sure they're taken care of, I'm determining my source. Where is this anxiety coming from? Why do I keep finding myself in this same situation? Why do I keep finding myself going around this same mountain the same time every year? Why do I keep finding myself depending on my income tax refund to pay up some bills and be able to live life, freely? It all comes to teach you something. So when I learned that I'm not getting this over here, or this ain't benefiting me as much as I thought it was, or I'm not being able to be live the lifestyle I want to live, or over here I'm doing this and I can't even get my nails done. My hair's jacked up all the time. I can't, live the lifestyle that I want to live. Let's just say I can't maintain the lifestyle that I have, because I'm a person that live within my means. And if I can't continue to live the lifestyle that I have, then I got to determine the source of my anxiety. What have I incorporated into my life that's causing me not to live the lifestyle that I was? I'm talking about a basic lifestyle. I ain't talking about what them lifestyles where you want to go out there, name brand, and the big house, and all this kind of stuff. I'm saying, like I said, I live within my means. It was just me and me. I let go of the house, and we in a 2-bedroom, 2-bath condo. We just something big enough for us. So when I'm living that type of lifestyle, basic lifestyle, and I have it's not be the education and everything. I have everything in place to be able to afford the lifestyle and above some, but I'm still not being able to afford the lifestyle. Then there's something wrong. I got to look at the source. What sources of income? Where is it being attached to? What's not panning out the way it's supposed to be? What's not adding up? Let's just say that. So that when I find my list of concerns, I make my list of concerns, and I circle what's tangible, and I take care of what's tangible versus that what's intangible. I center myself. I calm my emotions. If you sit and worry about being evicted, being the car repo, being, all your financial, your credit cards being, if you sit and worry about that, that's what's going to happen, because what you focus on is what you get. That's a mic drop for some people. Whatever it is that you're focusing on is what you're going to get. So I'm not saying focus on, the lack and, the things that, the anxiety that's exasperating your life. I'm saying determine the source. Find out what's connected to you or what you're connected to that is causing the anxiety or causing you not to live the life that you want to live, or causing you not to live the life that you have been accustomed to live. Life does bring some things in and, causes you to prune, downsize some things. But when you are living life on your basic necessities, your basic needs, that ain't life pruning nothing. Maslow's hierarchy of needs. It's a pyramid. I suggest you look at a picture of that. I want to order a life-size poster size, because I live by that. Not so much that, I'm so vocal about it, but it's the truth. At the baseline is your self-care needs. Look at it for yourself. Google it on the internet. And it's a pyramid. Any of those needs not being met going up that pyramid is going to cause a problem. At the top is self-efficacy. That means that's self-actualization. That's you are at your highest level of functioning, because everything on the bottom, your foundation is solid. You have everything that you need. So in determining my anxiety, I have to see where my needs are not being met and why they're not being met. Am I putting too much over here? Am I giving too much over here? Am I wearing my heart on my sleeve too much over here? Am I being too loyal over here to those that's not being loyal to me? People pleasers, we give to those and we don't get back. We don't receive back as the measure that we give, which is again scripture, because we're supposed to give according to the measure. So when we give according to according to over the measure, and then we don't get back what according to that measure, eventually we burn out, we drain out. So in determining our source of anxiety, it could be us. It could be us that's sitting out there giving too much of ourselves and living in the gutters, in the drainage holes, because there's nothing else in us. People are not pouring into us. People pleasers, people that wear their heart on their sleeve. That's the lifestyle that we live. We give so much of ourselves. And then therefore we live in anxiety because we sitting around wondering when everybody gonna looking at us. Is everybody gonna reach back and see about us? So, like I said, in determining the source of your anxiety, you gotta list your concerns, be it tangible or intangible. And then you got to act on those that are tangible to build control. Financially, I got to make sure the rent is paid. I got to make sure the lights are on. Thank God everything in here is electricity. But, they attach gas and water to the rent. So as long as those two is paid, my dwelling space is taken care of. I got to make sure my car is paid because that's the car I drive. I have to have a car in order to do the industry that I'm in because I can't take the clients on the bus. So I'm just got blessed with where I can sit in the office and do therapy or whatever. So I really don't need a car. I can get to the bus, and get to work or whatever. If it gets down to that point, if I can't get to where, get the source of the income I need for the car. That's why the car is second. So I got to make sure because with the car comes the car payment. And, I thought about, downsizing and trading it in it was a Hyundai Sonata. It had all the features of a Cadillac. It just wasn't as cushiony as a Cadillac. It had the heated up seats and everything. And I was going to try that, but then they were going to put $23,000 on the back end for my Cadillac, and I said, what's the point in that? I'll be upside down in that car. So I said, I'm gonna try to roll with this. So it's the Cadillac is what I came in, it's what I have. So it's where my level, if I can't be sustained in the Cadillac, something's wrong. That means I need to find another source, or I need to increase what I'm doing in the source that I'm at. So, and I'm in a situation right now where everybody is doing all they can do. So it tells me that I'm going to have to think outside the box. I'm going to have to, grab some more sources of income, do some other things. I don't know. I was thinking about flipping burgers at McDonald's. It's when that's how you tackle your anxiety. You start thinking outside the box. You can't just sit there and talk about, I'm going to wait on God. I'm going to see what God going to do. God got it. God is probably telling you to move, telling you to get up and do something. You in a ship, and he telling you to get up and do something before the ship wrecks. So you got to be able to listen to some power greater than yourself. You got to be able to think outside the box. Hear something outside the box. Because if not, all you depending on is you. And that's not enough in a whole big old great world. I know we think we're an island sometimes and we got it all under control and it's us. But we are nothing compared to this whole big old world. You have to have somebody that you can lean on, that you can pull from, as far as information or whatever. Not somebody that you can penny pinch or borrow from all the time or whatever. But you got to be able to have some people in your corner. Let me put it to you like this. When you die, you got to at least know 6 people that'll carry you. At least 6. And if you are living in this world by yourself, you got to have that. You can't just be so selfish and by yourself in an island to where you can't be reachable, teachable, or touchable by anybody else in this world. That's the signs of isolation. That's what living in fear, chronic fear, will do to you, will have done to you. So you got to be able to have relationships, be it friendships, marriage. You ain't got to get married. You ain't supposed to be doing all that other stuff too that cause diseases and stuff. I'm gonna leave that alone. But You can't be isolated in fear sitting by yourself. I thought we was going to be able to get through another one, but like I said, I'm not going to start another one because I want y'all to be able to digest what it according to your life. I want you to be able to determine the source of your anxiety. Make that list. Why is your life so exasperated that you're living in anxiety and it's running the show? So make a list, and at the next episode, so we'll talk about recognizing that life happens for you. That'll be the next point that we'll talk about. So be encouraged and congratulate yourself for doing some personal development, pouring into you versus pouring into everybody else out there in the world, because people don't have time to reach back and pour into others because we have been too busy trying to stay afloat in our own boat. Like I say, yeah, I'm gonna cut this at 30 minutes. Next episode, next session, we'll be talking about recognizing that life happens for you. Life don't happen to you all the time. Y'all stay blessed.